Hi everybody, this is Alex back again after a pause, at least a pause in terms of videos, not a pause in terms of Twitter or articles and stuff like that. I'm recording this video because I believe there's a lot of confusion in the market right now about Giga Berlin and everything around it. So I have written down 10 points that I would like to address in this video to clear up a couple of things which I believe are important. So I'm going to start with number one, which is delays. So for an ordinary construction site like the one of Tesla in Grünheide in Berlin or near Berlin, you usually need an average 4.5 years to get the construction permits. I'm not joking, it is like it is, 4 to 4.5 years, it's just the average. So in other words, every automaker who wants to build a construction site like that, he's waiting 4 to 4.5 years on average to get the construction permit. And after that, they start to do the construction. And I don't know, 2 years later, the building is there and they can start with producing vehicles. And then they get, obviously before, an operation permit. So we talk about 2 permits here. The number 1 permit, the construction permit, is still pending with Tesla, and we know from the last session of the ministry authorities last week that there's a delay again. So surprise, surprise, we have another delay with Giga Berlin, which is, as it sounds like, not earlier than mid of March. So this is what the head of that department responsible stated in the session. And he even said we have to differentiate between the construction permit and the operational permit. So if we get the construction permit mid of March, there's probably a couple of weeks afterwards the operational permit given. And then at that point in time, Tesla can start building vehicles that they can sell. Right now, they have a preliminary permit for 2,000 vehicles that they can produce. But the strange part is they can't sell them, which is, I believe, really totally nuts and makes no sense, because at the end of the day, these cars are produced like the cars are produced later on when the permit is given. So I don't see any differentiation here, and they can hold them back in terms of sales until that point in time. But I believe latest then they should give approval for selling them too. However, we have delays, there is no doubt. I've been optimistic last year that we get the permit end of last year. That didn't happen. So let's dig into that. 4 to 4.5 years is average. Right now, just yesterday, it was 2 years when Tesla started with felling the first trees up to the moment today. And right now we have almost completed buildings, so they can start with production. But they really can't because the permit is missing, as I said before. So 2 years compared to 4.5 years is freaking fast. And this is, I believe, one of the number 1 misunderstandings here. All people are saying delays, and a big problem with Germany. And yes, there is problems. I'm going to address this a little bit later. But at the end of the day, as of now, the factory is, 50% of the time or 100% faster than that what an average factory in Germany would need. And a lot of people are saying and writing to me on Twitter, yes, but this is a big mess and how can this be, and this is still very slow and this is unacceptable. And I understand that. I mean, if we compare with Shanghai, yes, this is unacceptable from that point of view. But we are not in Shanghai, we are not in China, this is Germany, and Tesla was aware when they started. I think, to be honest, the guidelines in the beginning in terms of what Tesla and Elon Musk has given when they want to start production, they've been very ambitious, too positive, in my opinion. And there are problems and reasons on the government side in terms of the process to approve such a construction, and there are problems and issues on the Tesla side. So it's not finger pointing, it's all about the German government even. By the way, the German government is not doing the regulations, they are doing the rules and the laws for the ministry that needs to make sure regulations are taken into account when such a construction happens. and the courts are validating that what the ministry has done is really according to the rules, regulations and laws. So it's very important to understand that the politicians, that the German government has absolutely zero influence here. I mean, they can make nice interviews and talk about stuff, but at the end of the day, the authorities, the ministries, the people working in the ministry, they are working according to that what has been the legislator put in place before, and not what a politician is telling them. This is very important to distinguish the two. So in other words, a lot of people are thinking this is corruption, and politicians are holding this back, other automakers are holding this back. This is just a process that simply do not allow this. It is almost impossible for an external to influence this process in a really negative way. What they can do, and they do this, I mean, environmental groups doing this, they can use every opportunity they have to go in front of a court to challenge the decisions from the regulators. And it's happening all the time, which is one reason of many why we have the delays. If we turn to Tesla, we have a big reason for a delay, which is they decided late, which was, I think, mid of last year, for including the battery factory application into the overall application. And the totally nut thing that's happening, or that happened afterwards, is based on rules and regulation, all what has been approved before needs to be worked through once again, which doesn't make any sense. So the minister in Brandenburg, responsible minister, said that makes no sense. He doesn't understand why this is the case, and this needs to change. And some of you may know we had an election in Germany lately in September. So we have a new government coalition in place, which is formed out of 3 political parties, which is the SPD, it's the Greens, and it's the FDP. And they all agree that these rules and regulations need to change. So there is something coming up here, and I'm really positive that finally they start to understand that it can't continue like that. So number one is, if we take the time frame of 2 years up to today compared to the average time frame for such a permit process of 4 to 4.5 years, Giga Berlin is fast. They are delayed, but they are still very, very fast. So this is number one, very important to understand that. On the other side of the coin, and don't get me wrong, I'm really criticizing the rules and regulation bureaucracy in Germany, because we could be much faster, much leaner, and it's supposed to be so. So right now, there are a lot of stones on the path to really finalize the construction and start production, and that's not a good thing. So I'm hopeful that this is going to change now. Tesla has helped everybody, I believe, in Germany to open the eyes, because these problems are brewing since a long, long time. This is nothing new. This is something we have for many, many years and decades even. But it needs to change, because 2 years, I think, is a fair time frame. I'm not sure if we ever make it in 1 year. That would be fantastic. But we are at that time frame where the permit latest should have been given. Another thing is corruption. As I just said, I doubt that the corruption is really happening here in such a way that anybody is paying someone else to hold up the process. It's just not the case. It's more the overall structure. And obviously, as a competition, I mean, the German automakers are quite happy. For every day, Giga Berlin is not opening, because the world will change once it does. So that's the truth. But I don't really see active corruption happening here, as some people believe it is. That's not what I think it's happening right now. The other thing is there's a lot of confusion about the expansion of Giga Berlin. So we are talking right now about phase 1 of the construction. All what you see in videos and photos and pics is just the first phase of the construction. And in that first phase, they are planning for 500,000 vehicles a year right now it's not more than that. Everything is lined out for 500,000 vehicles in terms of employees, but also in terms of water and other resources that they need for it. That's important to take into account. But in terms of the space and the layouts planned for the overall factory, there are clearly plans for phasing out a second, third, and fourth construction. And this may change over time because Tesla is changing on the fly, and this is happening here certainly too. But I have no doubt that the original from sources leaked number of 2 million vehicles per year, and if you look at the water consumption, at the plan in terms of employees, and some leaked information from Tesla, the 2 million that has been guided for before, in my opinion, is still there. There's no doubt. And to be honest, and that's just my personal view, if we take a look in what Tesla is doing and how they approach factories and construction, they've been able to improve productivity and increase output far beyond that what they originally scheduled for. And I believe the same is going to happen with Giga Berlin. So I wouldn't be surprised if in a few years from now we see 2.5 million vehicles in Giga Berlin, ramping out of the gate and ready to go to customers. So that's my belief. Obviously, it's not going to be all Model Y, so phase 1 is Model Y, but there's been chatter around Model 3 and maybe the compact car that one day will come. Elon has confirmed this in a tweet that I made, will come to Europe and Germany too. We know that the design center will work about that, or will design that here for Europe specifically, because the requirements and needs in Europe are slightly different from that what we see in Asia as well as in the USA. So I'm very positive about the expansion, as you hear. It will take time, and a lot of people are saying, okay, they need another 2 years or more to get the permit for phase 2. That's not going to happen. This is now not how the math works. At the end of the day, only the changes need to be approved in a new way, and I believe that the expansion and the approval process for phase 2, 3, and 4 will be way faster, because the original structure has been implemented already and the authorities know what is happening, number one. Number two, Tesla has learned how Germany works in that way, and they definitely adapt to it. So I expect this to be way, way faster. But I also expect that we are not seeing Giga Berlin really stopping with construction for a long period of time. I expect that this is going to be an area where we see for a few years the construction just ongoing and ongoing and ongoing, maybe with preliminary permits again. So who cares, because this is a good way to approach it. So another issue throughout the permit process is definitely that Tesla is changing a lot of things on the fly, even in the original documentation, and is late with other documents, which is Tesla's fault. So it's not like this is all the authorities and all of Germany. So problems exist on both sides, if you will. And yes, other governments, maybe China, maybe Texas, I don't know, are more straightforward and accept and approve quicker without having all documents together and having different regulation. Sure, may happen. I mean, that's just happening in these countries. But Tesla was very much clear when they went to Germany. They've been clear what this means. And I'm convinced in a few years from now, nobody will talk about the so-called delays anymore, because it's going to be just the past, and the ramping will show everybody that Germany was the right place. And, I can tell you, I've been learning factory planning and location search throughout my time at university, and I've been together with a lot of companies who are doing this. And I can tell you the amount of criteria and requirements for finding the right place is just massive. And if we talk about Germany, we know that there is a huge pool of experienced automotive engineers and employees Tesla can work with. And this is a big plus and advantage. You have also suppliers in Germany around Tesla works with already. So these are just two reasons, and I could go on, and there are probably, I don't know, 200-300 plus different bullet points they've been working through to decide whether they want to go to Germany or to another place in Europe. And I believe it's been the right decision to go to Germany. And I'm not saying this as a German. Obviously, I'm proud having this factory here in Germany, but I think it's just a logic step. Also in terms of logistics, by the way. Not only that the logistics from the inbound logistics from suppliers is short because you have mainly the important suppliers around the corner. The outbound logistics is also easy in terms of transporting the finished goods to the customer and to other countries. So Germany is kind of in the middle. So this is very good. You have access to water transport, to the ocean. You have access to rail. You have a very good infrastructure in terms of streets and autobahns to drive this cars wherever you want to. And so there are a lot of positive reasons to do that. And there are challenges in Germany. I just mentioned that in terms of regulation, but I believe this will be forgotten very soon. So it shouldn't be such a big issue. So this is in terms of why I believe Germany is the right place for them to go for it. Another challenge that is often discussed in the media, and some people bring this up from time to time, is water. So yes, there has been challenges, and there are challenges in Brandenburg. If you look on the map, you see a lot of water, lakes and rivers, so it looks like there's a lot of water there, which is true. But unfortunately, we have big consumers in terms of water as well. For instance, the coal mines, but also other industry settlements who are consuming way more than what Tesla is consuming. I've been tweeting about this before, but I'm bringing this up because for phase one, the 500,000 vehicles, there's a contractual agreement in place, and I don't have any doubt that it's a binding contract and they have to supply what they've been promising before. Right now there is a court case pending, and that first meetings have been delayed, the first sessions, and that court case is about a formal issue the authorities made in approving the water amount for the water supplier. So this has nothing really to do with Tesla, it's a separate topic. But that water supplier is saying, if the court is saying the approval for that what we do here is not valid anymore, it also could impact Tesla. And this is a far-fetched claim. I'm not sure that this will be the case, because right now they can supply and they will continue to supply water. I mean, there is a lot of population in that area that needs water every day. I don't see any reason in any scenario how they can stop that or restrict that, and how this could influence phase one of the factory. Later on, phase 2, 3, and 4 may be different, and there are different processes on the way to make sure that water is available later on. And I believe this is this is one of these interfering discussions and issues happening in Germany and international. There's a lot of confusion about that, but I don't fear any problems on the water side personally. That's how I see it right now. If you follow me on Twitter, you also have seen that I posted about Tesla automation lately. So in Germany, we have a couple of actually offices and engineering offices from Tesla. Not only the Berlin factory, but there is Tesla Groningen with, I think it's two legal entities in Germany, in addition to the headquarters in Prüm. And they have one in Shanghai and the other one is in Nevada. So it's in total it's 5 places where Tesla automation is working. And Tesla automation has been, or is, automotive specialist that has been working for the German automotive industry, mainly when Elon Musk decided in 2017 to buy the company. So these are experts, a few hundred engineers which really know their stuff. And Tesla bought them because they've been building a lot of new gigafactories. So they need machining, they need the factory that builds the factory. So this is why they bought Grohmann, and Elon cancelled all orders with the German automotive industry at that time, and Grohmann was transformed into a supplier, an internal supplier for Tesla globally. This is why we have a subsidiary in Nevada and one in Shanghai, obviously. And if you listen to certain videos from Munro and Partners and others, you hear from time to time about what they supply in vehicles, or for electric motors. They invent machinings mainly that are state of the art, that are groundbreaking new innovations in terms of building cars and helping to produce faster with lower costs and higher output. So Grohmann has been renamed, obviously, to Tesla Automation, and I believe this is kind of one of the crown jewels that nobody talks about. It's the hidden champion within the Tesla ecosystem, and should be mentioned more often because of the amazing performance and products they are delivering. And I'm bringing this up because Tesla Grohmann or Tesla Automation in Prüm has started a small gigafactory in their headquarters. I think it's 2 years ago now, and this is finished. So they produce there, from all what I've heard and learned. So, and you see already a lot of products outside that they are shipping now, I guess, to Giga Berlin in Brandenburg, for installing machinings for the future production, probably also for the battery factory, and that's all ongoing, and that's going very well, and that went pretty silent and successful. So you see, even if you do something like that in Germany, it can work easy going, but there all the limelight is right now, no doubt, on Giga Berlin, and it will remain like that, I think, for a longer period of time. So that's about Grohmann. Another thing that I'd like to mention is when Tesla Automation was established, the unions in Germany, the EGM, which is one of the largest unions in Germany and kind of responsible for the automotive industry, they tried with all their force to get into EN. And there was a huge smear campaign in the German media about Tesla, the bad US employer, and they don't pay well and all of that. And Elon did a very good job. So first of all, not surprisingly, he didn't even talk to the unions, which drove them really nuts. And secondly, he offered to the engineers in Prüm a better salary and a nice option package. And that option package, and think about it, this was back in 2017. And that has probably increased 7 times in value. So I expect a lot of these engineers are millionaires right now, if they are smart and they've been holding and not making any stupid things. That should be a great investment. Obviously, there is a payout phase also in Germany. So if you get an assignment of options, of company options, you just can't execute it right away. So you need to wait a certain period of time until you can take a fraction of that, and then you can, change the options into stock. And then there's the question whether those guys really kept the stock or sold it. So we don't know. But if those guys are smart, they should be pretty wealthy now, which is another success story. And there's been media reports about Giga Berlin too, in terms of they don't pay well, which is absolutely not true and not the case. Even the authorities, the people who are searching for people for Giga Berlin have said that the salaries Tesla is paying is really more than fair, which I believe it's great. In particular, by the way, for the, let's say, people at the line and the employees, so payment is really good. For managers, it's a little bit less. So people who came from Daimler and other large automakers in Germany to Giga Berlin, they have a smaller or lower base salary. So you can claim that's not a good thing. But on the other side, they got a very attractive option package. And although at the moment the stock is going kind of sideways and downwards, even from the peak we had last year, I'm 100% convinced this will come up again. So if people know how to deal with the situation, as I said, they can't sell the options or execute the options anyway quickly when they start in Giga Berlin. A lot of people will be happy later on about the gains they are getting here. So what I'm trying to say is that all what the unions are telling is really, I believe, not true. And if Tesla decides that they don't want to make a contract with the unions, it's their decision. I mean, obviously there can be this workers' council, which is already established in the Gigafactory, which is not staffed with people from the unions. I mean, this is a free decision of the employees working in Giga Berlin to decide who is sitting in that council. They are voting for that. This is a free election. And the unions can try to get in, but there is no way that they can force Tesla to make an agreement with themselves. So no way. In other words, I don't expect that the unions will get an opportunity to get in. One of the reasons is that they've been pretty nasty and unfair in interviews about Tesla in the past, and I can't imagine that Elon will just bring them in for what actually. I mean, the safety standards within Tesla are very, very high. Every employee I've ever talked to working for Tesla or who worked for Tesla is talking so highly about the organization in actually every aspect that it's hard for me to understand any justification for Tesla to bring the unions in. Having said that, I'd like to close here. I hope this helps a little bit to see through the fog, through the misunderstanding and confusion that I feel is sometimes around. And if you have further questions, feel free to approach me. Thanks for listening and have a great day.